Hello and welcome. I'm Stephanie Robledo and this is Tu Voz. This series will focus on the Latinx community. Every time you hear that sound, I'll be defining a concept for you. Latine is a gender-neutral form of the word Latino, created by the LGBTQ+, gender non-binary, and feminist communities in Spanish-speaking countries. The objective of the term Latine is to remove gender from the Spanish word Latino by replacing it with the gender-neutral letter E. This is preferred over Latinx because Spanish as a language doesn't have very many words with the letter X in them, and it can be difficult for native speakers to pronounce it in a way that feels comfortable. You can learn more by going to LATV and reading the article Latine versus Latinx, what they mean, why they matter, and their relationship with machismo and marianismo within their families, and how they use their voice to resist the cultural and gendered expectations that form with machismo and marianismo. In today's episode of Tu Voz, I try to answer the question, how do Latinas use their voice to resist cultural, gendered expectations and double standards within their families? To answer this question, I interviewed Bella Muniz.
Both of my parents are Hispanic, of Mexican origin, so it's been at least a few generations at this point.
Thalia Doe.
I am Panamanian. My mom is from the Republic of Panama. That's where we are from. Specifically, we are from Colón, Panama.
Abril Viana, who comes from Mexican heritage. Her maternal grandparents met in Mexico.
They met in a little rancho, and that's when my mom was born. And she was born in Mexico as well. She lived most of her life in Mexico until she came here, I want to say when she was like 13, 12.
On her dad's side of the family, Abril says she doesn't know much.
I just know that he was actually born here, but he was raised in Mexico.
Three Latinas from different backgrounds that grew up alongside a male family member, or in their case a brother, and have experienced gendered expectations or double standards within their families. But before we get into the interviews, let's talk about Latinx culture and gender roles. Gender roles are behaviors that a person is expected to follow based on their perceived gender. This is a term that is seen in all cultures, but we'll be focusing in on the Latinx community. Latin America is made up of different countries, each with its own unique culture, but one thing they have in common is machismo and marianismo. In Hugo Quintana's Michigan Daily article, Machismo Culture Must Go, machismo is defined as a strong or exaggerated sense of manliness. Quintana then defines machismo in the context of Latinx culture, where there is really only one right way to be a man. You have to be a hard worker, knowledgeable in manly things. You have to use your skills to provide for your wife and kids. And you, of course, have to follow sexist gender norms that continue long-standing machismo within your family. The term marianismo describes expectations for Latinas. In Priscilla Blossom's Hip Latina article, We Need to Talk About Marianismo, she states, Marianismo is rooted in Christianity and the name stems from the Virgin Mary. According to Blossom, Marianismo means to be chaste, virginal, and inherently good in every way. You are, in a sense, seen as better than men because men can't control themselves. But you, of course, should. You should also be giving. And if you're a wife or mother, you should be self-sacrificing in your caregiving. Both of these concepts work together to enforce gender roles within the Latina community, but marianismo is not as known as machismo.
I've heard of machismo, and that was the other one?
What's marianismo? I know machismo.
I heard that term once or twice.
Which brings the question why. It could be due to the nature of both concepts. Machismo is more aggressive and loud, an assertion of dominance, while marianismo is quiet and submissive. The term la mujer buena expects women to stay pure and holy.
My mom is always trying to say, tienes que ser la mujer buena, porque un hombre no se va a casar con la persona que todo el mundo ha tenido, sino va a buscar la mujer buena para casarse, and I hate that.
If they reject this, they reject the rules of marianismo. They are labeled as vendidas, otherwise known as sellouts. Chicana writer Cherry Moraga linked these terms to homophobia in her book Loving in the War Years, Lo que nunca pasó por sus labios, where she wrote, the woman who defies her role as subservient to her husband, father, brother, or son by taking control of her own sexual destiny is purported to be a traitor to her race. She is corrupted by foreign influences which threaten to destroy her people. She would be compared to La Malinche, an Aztec noblewoman who worked as a translator for Hernán Cortés during the conquest of Mexico. She is considered a traitor, but Norma Alarcón takes a deeper look into Malinche's story in her essay Chicana's Feminist Literature, where she makes the same point as Moraga, that when a woman begins to question or is not completely devoted, she is a traitor because she is not true to her obligations. But this idea of being submissive is not in the past, and Alarcón mentions it when she writes, consciously and unconsciously, the Mexican/Chicano patriarchal perspectives assigns the role of servitude to women. But why is this still happening? Who is enforcing these so-called obligations? When I was forming the study, I expected the father to be the enforcer, to fall under the rules of machismo. But after speaking to Bella, Thalia, and Abril, it became apparent that for them, it was their mother.
My mom.
My mom.
My mom.
Marianismo was being enforced. Now let's hear from the interviewees as they talk about their experiences with gender expectations within their families.
I would say that my mom was very strict with me. I guess because I was the oldest, she wanted me to like grow up quicker than how I was like by the age of 7. Some kids still need help from their parents, putting on their uniform, stuff like. No, I will get up, wake up my brother, be like, hey, you gotta go to school, take him to school, take myself to school, give him breakfast. And then he got to like grow up steady and like, okay, you can enjoy your childhood, you can like grow up, because I took care of everything. Like I took him to school, when he needed tutoring, I took him to tutoring. Like I've been like his second mom basically.
Abril was expected to do more for her family, and she did, no matter what she was feeling, whether it was positive or negative. She didn't complain.
I want her to always keep that like perfect little daughter image that she had. So I would never speak out, or like if I didn't know how to do it, I'll figure it out by myself, because I was scared to like disappoint her.
Bella had similar feelings in which she felt that she had to be the perfect daughter.
Sometimes it felt as if I couldn't mess up because they were already going through so much with my brother. It felt as if I couldn't come to them with any grievances that I had, because I was supposed to be the one that they didn't have to worry about as much.
Bella recalls the difference in expectations her mother had for her and her brother, specifically about how they conducted themselves.
My mother in particular would get on to me for things that she wouldn't get on to my brother for, in regards to I have to be very polite, but I also have to be both polite but also not let people take advantage of me and be a doormat. I have to be sociable and always very hyperactive, but not too much so to where I come off as annoying or like a chismosa or something. And then I have to always present myself. I always have to have some sort of makeup on, mascara and lip gloss, the one she points out all the time. And I always have to look decent, while my brother gets away with just some hair gel and sweats and a t-shirt.
Similarly, Thalia's parents would tell her and her sister how to conduct themselves.
I really never saw my parents tell my brother how to conduct himself, but they did for me and my sister. And if I was even sitting with my legs butt down, oh, you have to cross your legs. Or there was that thing of, oh, you can't be around your primo, wearing that. And just things like that. I always found, well, why can't you correct my primo then? Or why are you telling me this? Why can't you address the person?
Thalia remembers an argument she had with her mother about how she presented herself.
I'd posted a picture of myself. I was just in a bathing suit. It was August of last year. We'd just got back to school. I was going to the pool at the wellness. And my mom called me crying, first of all. And the first thing out of her mouth was, how do you expect a man to want to marry you if? And that has always been an argument that we always have.
Thalia states that it's heavily pushed in the Latina community that the goal for a woman is to get married and have children, which is a belief that she thinks is more prominent from her family because they're coming straight from Panama.
She will just say, well, when you get a man, you need to. I've always felt like she's just really pushed onto me that my purpose is to get married. I need to get married, or I need to have a boyfriend.
Despite these expectations and beliefs pushed on her, Thalia still speaks out, as many times as she has to.
I can't explain or even count how many times I've told my mom, I just like it. It's not for anybody to look at me. There's no man I'm trying to get attention from. Nothing. It's literally just because I think it's cute. I don't understand what's so hard about the simple concept of the fact that I may just like something. I just like it. I just like something.
Bella also speaks out, but only after she's reached her boiling point. And even then, she says it's brushed off. But Bella leaves listeners with this.
So I just want to say that regardless of what your situation is, I think it's important to acknowledge those feelings and that those feelings are valid.
Thank you for listening. Join me next time when Abril, Bella, and Thalia come together and take a deeper look at gender expectations within the Latina community. I'm Stephanie Robledo, and this was Tu Voz.